Thanksgiving's coming up. It's a holiday that's celebrated every year. I believe it has something to do with the early settlers, the pilgrims, those who came off the Mayflower when they traveled overseas to the Americas. You know, a lot of it was for religious reasons, but some of it was for material gain, for profitability. There might be gold in those hills, said Christopher Columbus, and Isabella and Ferdinand were convinced that Columbus was onto something and financed his whole operations so that he could bring back gold and perhaps other treasures to the King and Queen of Spain. But later on, it was pretty much the same idea underneath the king. Yeah, they came over on the Mayflower. I don't know if it was, obviously it was more than just one ship, one boat. I don't know what the other ones were called. I'd have to look it up. But they came over here and they didn't do, the first colonies, the first settlers didn't do too well apparently. They had to face starvation and brutal winters, cold. They had to face diseases that were foreign to them. And the first round of settlers died off because they weren't equipped with their immune system to deal with the conditions. It was a foreign land, foreign diseases, and they had to overcome it. After a while, their immune systems adapted. But it took a while. So they didn't have, sophisticated shots back then, I presume. Antibodies and inoculations and immunizations and all those things that would later on be invented in the 1800s and early 1900s to deal with as preventative measures against these diseases and viruses. But yeah, they invented penicillin and all this other stuff later on. But the early settlers were easy pickings for these microbials. Not only that, but Indians, the natives, the indigenous peoples, some of them were friendly, some of them weren't. Some of them weren't too keen on the idea of the white man invading their land, their territory. So but the ones who were friendly were able to assist the settlers in training them how to survive and how to thrive as a little civilization. So Thanksgiving, those settlers were very thankful, and they were thankful because of how God made provisions for them, about how God used the native culture to teach them how to survive and to farm the land and to grow the crops that they grow. And it was a really cool deal. God has always had his hand in the evolutionary processes of culture, and he's had his hand in it. So I believe he still does assist man in accomplishing great feats, and also he wants to give occasion for mankind to be thankful for God's assistance, for God's help. There were those that stayed in the closet, those whose lifestyles were contrary to the mainstream of societal thinking back in the 17 and 1800s, and even early 1900s. There were only a few that dared to come out of the closet, if you will, to openly promote their lifestyle and their beliefs that were contrary to the Puritan ethic, those ethics that were brought over on the Mayflower. And even George Washington, I heard that he was very concerned about certain members of society being even worthy of being in the military, because that was taboo, that was against God. They still considered that to be an abomination. That just only a couple hundred years ago. And times have changed, or have they? Those ideas and those practices have been around for thousands of years. You read about it even in ancient culture, Grecian culture, Babylonian culture, Egyptian culture. And that stuff was frowned upon by certain groups, certain individuals, and even governments. It was even a capital crime. It was punishable by death if they were engaged in those practices. You know, there was supposed to be holy union, holy matrimony between opposite sexes. And that's how it was intended to be according to the biblical and Islamic models. And they violated that and tradition, and they continue even today with certain groups endorsing the LGBT community and becoming a part of it, without fear of reprisal, without fear of being tormented or tortured, or even the worst case scenario, which I won't even mention, because people did things that were uncivil, that were kind of a little bit too extreme. I mean, they did things back in the Old West, even in this country, where there was not due process like in a court of law. They just duked it out with the revolvers, kind of like Clint Eastwood movies. You know, they just you walk 20 paces that way, I'll walk 30 the other way, and then turn around. And hopefully, whoever's got the fastest finger on the trigger wins the day, as long as they can aim. Some of them weren't very good marksmanship, weren't as good as being marksmen as others, but we've come a long way in this country. I'm glad things are more civil and more tolerable. And we just thought we would be more advanced as a species after the times of the Old West, when things began to be more industrialized and we moved away from agriculture and farming and those types of things. And we moved into the industrial age, where we were making machines like printing presses and tanks and automobiles and other things. But then we moved past revolvers into AK-47s and M16s and 50 caliber guns on tanks and battleships and the whole bit, and even eventually nuclear missiles, IBMs, and these other things that can create great havoc on not only small populations of human beings, but the whole entire planet. I mean, we've advanced, hopefully not to our own peril, our own demise. That was what supposedly Albert Einstein was afraid of, about this atomic bomb that was created in Germany. He was worried about that. It was a great feat of engineering and technology and advancement, but is it going to backfire someday in the future? That's what he was worried about. But now we supposedly, diplomatically, through diplomacy, we have, through Ronald Reagan and other politicians, have been able to negotiate into a peace treaty of sorts, promoting the idea that, hey, extraterrestrials and space, conquering space is higher priority than just duking it out amongst different tribes and nations for superiority. That we should be a unified peoples of the earth when it comes to exploring the unknowns. You know, like potentialities and alien races and extraterrestrials who might even themselves be concerned about where we're going with our advancements. They may even, as speculated by some, these ancient astronaut theorists, that they've been guiding our knowledge, the increase thereof, so that we can catch up with human evolution or evolutionary processes, since they are supposedly more advanced than us. But yeah, where are we heading? Are we heading towards doomsday, or are we going to back off and realize that this squabbling is really quite pointless? It's not going to lead us to a better place as the whole of humanity. We have to realize, hey, man, there's only one planet Earth, though others have been suspected, these exoplanets. Supposedly a few of them might be in the habitable zone, but it may take us years, hundreds of years, before we can get to them because of the speed of light factor. We have to figure out how to travel faster than the speed of light in order to reach those planets. We have to figure out how to do it safely and securely. It's trying to dodge all those little anatomical particles that are floating around in space, plus radiation, exposure to radiation from the solar flares and the solar winds of these stars. But yeah, there's all kinds of hurdles we have to make it over before we even venture out. But we're still progressing towards that. But it would be nice if we could all pull together as a human race to accomplish this, so that we can make it so we can achieve those goals.
But not everybody agrees. They don't believe in this superior culture, similar to what the ancients and even our more recent past has promoted, claiming that there's superiority amongst our races and amongst the tribes of the earth, that we were just planted here by supreme beings who seeded our planet with, it's called panspermia, a higher intelligent race of beings. But then there are those who promote the idea that, no, we are the ones that are made in God's image. All humanity, both male and female, as it says in the book of Genesis, Adam and Eve. And many other cultures testify to this idea that there were original human beings, a female and a male, that God himself, his spirit, fashioned out of the very elements that he created, the actual earth. Somehow he formed it and breathed life into it, and they became a living being, breathing being. And they also say that our main hope is that God will set it aright, that God will fix it, that God will redeem it and bring order and peace and perfection once again, like it was originally when it was first created. It was all perfect and right and good. After each day of creation, that's what was said in the biblical narrative.
So restoration, times of restoration was promised even by Christ and his apostles and the prophets, and even in other cultures. The hope of a redeemer to be redeemed, or was always was a belief in ancient times. Someone who could bring utopia and peace and harmony and love and justice, and everything would be perfect. That hope is still believed and embraced by many around the world. That God's going to eventually fix all the problems in the world, and there'll be no more crime or no more distress or grief or sorrow. Everything will be wonderful.